Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. Looks like most of the people have joined. So, thank you for joining this webinar. Without further ado, let's start. So, thank you for joining this insightful live demo session for UAE e-invoicing. I am Siddharth, a founding member of Complyance, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. So, we are thrilled to have you with us as we dive into the key insights and best practices into how businesses can navigate the UAE's e-invoicing landscape. So, to begin with, I would like to introduce our speakers. So, first, we have Karthik, our indirect tax domain expert. Karthik brings years of experience in tax compliance and will guide us through the complexities of UAE's e-invoicing regulations. And we also have Mohit, our solutions expert. Uh, we provide so Mohit provides a live demonstration of our platform, showcasing how businesses can streamline e-invoicing compliance with ease. So we have got a packed agenda. So without further ado, let's get started. So yeah, Karthik, diving on to the first question and the first topic. So, what are the core elements of the UAE PINT AE schema? As we all know that UAE is adopting Peppol for its e-invoicing, and PINT AE is one of the invoice formats which they are adopting. So, what is the UAE PINT AE schema for FTA and e-invoicing compliance? So, can you explain about this?
Yes. Yeah. Hi, Siddharth. So, UAE Pinned AE schema is nothing but a localized version of Peppol International Standard, which we generally call as PINT. And it is
Yes.
basically based on the Peppol BIS 3.0 model and includes UAE or country-specific requirements. So, jumping into the core elements, it would be as similar as, with many other countries, like invoice header, which would contain invoice number, issue date, type code, etc. And seller and buyer details, which would contain the party full name, address, tax registration numbers, etc. And line item details, like either it's a good or service, and line item name, description, quantity, price, tax, etc. And followed by tax breakdown for the whole invoice, like each tax category code and each category taxable amount and tax amounts, and then followed by invoice totals and also payment details. Along with this, we will also see few optional fields like supporting documents, additional references, or optional payment fields or prepayment details, etc. So more or less, if we summarize, there are almost like 50 mandatory fields that every company or business must adopt to submit the invoice to FTA. This 50 number is for standard tax invoice, and for credit note or debit note or for any special transaction, we could say hardly one or two fields will be more, we could say, as conditional mandatory.
Okay, Karthik, great, great. That was a beautiful insight. So, moving on to the next question. So, we all know that UAE is adopting the five corner model, which is one of the complex models adopted in any across any country. So, can you explain like how this model simplifies the connections between the taxpayers, ASPs, accredited service providers, and the FTA? So, can you just explain on this topic?
Right. So UAE is adopting five corner model and also a decentralized CTC model. So to explain this, first let's go through the five corner model. What does the five corner model do? In this, we'll have five parties. One will be supplier or the seller, and second will be supplier's service provider. And we could say the next will be buyer, obviously the receiving party, and the next will be buyer's service provider. And the last party, corner five, will be FTA. So any document should flow from supplier to supplier service provider, and then it should flow to FTA. And vice versa. Again, every invoice from buyer to buyer service provider to FTA. And also there is a to and fro communication or transmission of invoice between suppliers and buyers also. So this transmission is, we'll also have a response for all these transmissions in the form of MLS, message level status. And coming to your question, how would it simplify connections between taxpayers, ASPs, and FTAs? Till now, I mean, if there is no Peppol or this five corner model, every service provider or every seller or supplier should send an invoice over email or some other way, one to one. But whereas in this five corner model, you just connect. I mean, being a supplier, you just connect to an accredited service provider who will just transmit the invoice from one endpoint to all the endpoints or to all the buyers using the Peppol IDs. So it's like a concept called connect once and reach all at a time.
Okay, Karthik. Okay, okay. I see that Peppol has the directory for all the people registered with Peppol. So even the local and international transactions will become easy. That's great. So moving on to the next question. So how, in the first phase of this invoicing, mostly all big groups and conglomerate companies go live, right? So how should VAT group registration be handled in the UAE? And what role does this multi-entity transaction management play in ensuring compliance?
So unlike for VAT returns, for e-invoicing, every member of the VAT group should have individual or standalone access points. Okay, so with this,
Okay,
they'll have, I mean, every member of the group will have the access points, and then to issue an invoice, they can use group entities VAT number also, but they have to specify individual members, name and address, or any other details that comes in the party, or else like buyer party or seller party headers.
okay, okay,
Yep.
Karthik. So yeah, moving on to the next question, like what validation checks does compliance have to confirm invoice transmission and reception by the buyers?
Well, to simplify compliance as a service provider, we will do three levels of validation, Siddharth. So one is schema validation, like the platform first, when it gets the invoice data, will validate the invoice data against the official PINT AE schema, and we will ensure that all mandatory fields are present and correctly formatted. Example, length of the field, or characters that are acceptable by the field, or the format of the field, etc. And then we will also check party identity validation, kind of seller and buyers, tax registration numbers or VAT numbers, or any other form of tax IDs, including Peppol participant IDs. We will also check if these IDs are valid and also active in the Peppol directory. I mean, when it comes to Peppol IDs. And third will be message level status or FTA reporting confirmation. So whenever there is a transmission between seller to buyer and buyer to seller, and also seller to FTA and buyer to FTA, there will obviously be a MLS, message level status response from the other party, I mean from the receiving party. So we will also validate this if whenever we send a valid response, we will get, I mean, valid XML, we will get a valid response in the form of MLS. So we will also validate this if we have sent a valid invoice to the receiving party or not.
Okay, okay, Karthik. So those are few of the validations. So going on to the next subjects, like what special transactions must business be prepared for? If you see, UAE FTA has not given any rules or regulations till now, but it is better to know, like because of your experience dealing with other countries, what special transactions might FTA get like the mandate, and if businesses can know few of them in advance, they can be prepared, right? So what must be businesses prepared for reporting and submitting to FTA under the upcoming e-invoicing regulations?
Oh, well, so Siddharth, by this time, from the available sources from FTA, uh, along with standard tax invoice, debit note, and credit note, we also have approximately 10 special type of transactions. Like I'll try to cover the 10 possible names. These are like free trade zone transactions, deemed supply transactions, profit margin scheme transactions, summary invoices, continuous supplies, agent billing transactions, e-commerce transactions, exports, reverse charge transactions, and self-billing transactions.
Okay, okay. So these are few things like businesses can see whether they are doing it properly or not. And if further rules come in from the FTA side, we can also post some blogs or informative videos for explaining all those other fields. Okay. So moving on to
Right.
the next question, like how invoices will be exchanged to overseas customers, and in terms of exports and imports, how this e-invoicing will create and exchange invoices in for exports and imports as well as for self-billing. So, can you explain these cases in particular?
Yes, that. So, in case of exports, obviously the receiving party will be the foreign party or is the foreign buyer. So, we could say in case of these exports, if the foreign buyer is already registered within the PayPal network, then the endpoint of the buyer should be provided to the seller. If they are not registered, then a dummy endpoint will be provided. And in such cases, exchange of document will not happen over the PayPal network. However, if SP of the seller will continue sorry, the SP of the seller will continue to report the invoice to corner 5, which is FTA. And seller is required to send the invoice to the buyer outside the network, such outside the network via email, or if there is any other form of EDI, electronic data exchange. And it's not mandatory to exchange it over the PayPal itself. Coming to self-billing. In case of self-billing, as we know, responsibilities of the parties will interchange. Like buyer will take the responsibility of creating the invoice. So here, buyer will also have the responsibility of creating and also exchanging the document with the seller and also reporting it to the FTA via accredited service provider or via PayPal.
Okay, okay, Karthik. So that's great. So moving on to the next question, like how does compliance integrate with the PayPal participant IDs? Like for seamless transactions, like how do we integrate with this PayPal and fetch the PayPal IDs for the customers?
Well, so first of all, compliance is a open PayPal member. I mean, compliance holds a open PayPal membership, and also compliance is in the process of getting accreditation from FTA. So we will be we will be one of the recognized ASPs in UAE. With this, we will have, as soon as or as long as the buyer party or the receiving party hands us over the PayPal participant ID of the receiving party, we can connect to the buyer and use this PayPal ID for transmission for transmission of the invoices.
Okay, okay. And adding on to this, in case of uh, buyer not registered with Peppol also, we as an accredited service provider will have the integration with Peppol to fetch the Peppol IDs in place of the providers. Yeah. So moving on to the next question, like what are the steps involved in the gap analysis? So, as you know, many businesses will have few gaps in taxation and other rules given by FTA. So, how does the gap analysis consulting provided by compliance help reduce implementation complexities for both tax teams and IT teams?
Well, so compliance has a structured process designed to identify the gaps. Uh, let's go step by step. So compliance will first assess the current state of the customer. Like compliance consultants would review the business existing invoice systems, ERPs, and their tax reporting procedures to understand their current procedures and data flow. And then we will help them to understand how the PINT AE schema works and the five corner model works, and also specific reporting obligations to the FTA. By this time, customer and also compliance consultants or dev team will understand or identify the gaps, such as missing fields, or else non-compliant invoice formats, or else we could say technical integration shortfalls, whatever. We will identify these gaps, and also we will draw a thorough action plan, and we will communicate this with customer to overcome all the gaps. Like, let's say, providing a list of specific technical requirements and integrations needed, and giving a clear understanding of APIs and data format needs, And with this, even tax teams or IT teams can also benefit by reducing their time and effort spent on the research and design, and also the implementation.
Okay, Karthik. Okay, that's great. So last few questions, like a couple of questions before we go on to the live demo, which you are all eagerly waiting for. So this question is like, how does compliance support scalability for multiple country rollouts? See, for most businesses in UAE, they are global businesses, and for the first place, most companies going live are global companies. So how can compliance support multi-country rollouts like e-invoicing in the coming years are rolling out in multiple countries and it's becoming a norm in most of countries and they are mandating it very soon, right? So how can compliance help these companies go live with multiple country e-invoicing easily?
Right. So a platform designed for multi-country rollouts, such as Compliance, supports scalability by providing a centralized and adaptable solution that can handle diverse regulatory requirements from a single platform. Let's say our main strength, we could say, is the single API integration. So businesses can use a single API connection to their ERP system to handle e-invoicing for multiple countries. Compliance platform then manages the specific local requirements such as data schemas, or other standards of the regions, tax rules, government portal integrations, API endpoint integrations, whatever. So we will handle all these through a single API integration. So that we could say, I could say is compliance strength to handle multi-country rollouts.
Okay. So relating to this, I think Mohit also will be showing us a demo. So without further ado, so uh, I will hand over to Mohit for showing the live demo. Yes, over to you, Mohit.
Sure. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Karthik, for that. So I quickly just share my screen. Siddharth, just confirm, is my screen visible?
Yes, Mohit, it's visible. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. So answering all the questions on tax expert have given you all the ideas of UAE businesses. Now I will show you how compliance will lessen your efforts of integration of e-invoicing in UAE as well as globally with one platform that we offers. So what we have built, basically we have built one platform, one integration, a single control layer that connects your existing ERP systems and adapts automatically to different country mandates. During today's demo, I'll just give you a quick overview of our platform. What are the platforms that we have given? Then I'll drive you with the help with the APIs as well as SDK side, what and how the developers can easily connect their system using our pre-built schema adapters and gets mapping framework. By the end, you will see how both the business team as well as technical teams can work on the same platform to achieve compliance faster with less effort and with full visibility of your e-invoicing journey. So as you can see on the screen, basically, this is basically a API platform that we have built for our partners who have their multiple customers, and even we have one platform which is only for the customers usage. In that, you can have a look of all your e-invoicing cycle or your live transaction of e-invoicing globally, as well as you can manage it for your customers, what and how many invoices they are generating it. Our platform basically ensures an integration with existing ERPs, with helps with the standardized REST APIs, what we have built on the pre-built SDKs, and detailed field mapping documentation. We support both inbound as well as outbound data flows, enabling smooth synchronization without major changes into the ERP's core configuration. For complex use, our middleware layers do data validation, data transformation, and compliance check so developers can focus on connecting the APIs without worrying about the data mismatch or any local regulatory requirement. Additionally, we also provide a sandbox environment that allows the end-to-end testing before going live, ensuring a smooth and error-free deployment. So from here, we'll just see a look of that particular platform where we can manage our client. This is for the partner's account where a partner can manage their account.
Let me share my screen to continue on with the
Sure.
webinar. Just let me know when it's visible. Mohit, is my screen visible?
Yeah, Siddharth.
Okay, okay. So as I was telling, like fantastic demo from Mohit. So I just wanted to add one more point. As mentioned by Mohit, Gates auto mapping helps individual companies go live fast in multiple countries. And for example, they can have a template of the mapping and use the same template to for multiple countries as well. They don't need to again and again do this process as well. Whatever short process that Mohit has shown now. Apart from this, for partners like who have multiple customers, most providers they don't have the bandwidth because of the integration taking more than few months, right? So as us at Compliance, so we at Compliance have reduced this integration time, which gives them the ability to onboard more number of customers in a short period of time, right? So this increases the bandwidth to provide services to their customers as well. And this is a scalable solution which no other service provider or partner is giving as of now, right? So I just wanted to add those things before we go on to yeah. So I think we have got few questions from the Q&A, and you can also drop any other questions which you have in the chat or in the Q&A, which will be answered by Karthik or Mohit. So and in the meanwhile, I'll be just going through few of the questions that we got. So yeah, the first question is like, how does the platform ensure seamless integration for developers working with existing ERPs? So most ERPs might be of a legacy kind or it will be outdated, right? So Mohit, I think you can take this question now. So how does compliance handle this? Like how easy it is to integrate with legacy ERPs?
So how what we have developed is basically a ready to use SDK for basically any legacy system or any of the ERP system which contains the inbuilt functionality of the single API as well as error handling cases. Whether it's any popular ERP, you call it like SAP, Epicor, Oracle, Microsoft, or any legacy systems as well. This ready to use SDK helps them to integrate, which is pre-built of using the data mapping as well with that particular ERP data that they have into that particular system and map it according to the government invoicing format, eliminating heavy custom coding and everything. So we provide them the coding as well, a little bit of code that they can just rebuild into their particular system and push the data to our particular platform, which helps them in doing the integration.
Okay, okay. Fantastic, Mohit. So, like, moving on to the next question that we have, like, someone has asked, like, how does compliance help companies scale with e-invoicing system for multi-countries? Like, in the tax perspective, I think so. Like, how does the compliance reduce the rework in the tax perspective as well as how they can go live with many countries easily? So, I think Karthik, you can take this up.
Yes, Siddharth. So, when it comes to multi-country implementation of e-invoicing, the major challenge would be understanding the local regulations. Like, let's take an example of UAE and Singapore. So, when you go to UAE, they have a PINT AE schema. Whereas when you go to Singapore, they will have SG Pint, even though both are pints, but they are localized versions of their own countries. So, when some supplier is implementing their invoicing or going to implement the invoicing in these countries, they have to understand all these local tax rules, and also they have to implement respective endpoints, schemas, everything. Whereas compliance has scaled or compliance has worked upon its own API, which is a very single API integration system, which Mohit has already explained. Like there is something we have in hand called gets mapping. So with this gets, we'll have single API which will handle global e-invoicing concept. Like let's say, based on the origin of the invoice and the end point of the invoice, we will take care of the invoice submission. Like if the origin of the invoice is KSA, and if you give us the endpoint as the ZATCA, then we will take care to submit it to ZATCA. I mean, all the relevant validations and all the relevant schema checkings, field formattings, everything will be taken care by compliance itself. Well, and we could also say with this gets we have in hand, we will maintain all the countries' business rules, tax logic validations, government reporting and clearances, calculation checks like tax calculations or invoice total calculations, everything will be taken care with a single API.
Okay, okay, great, Karthik. So, yeah, so another question is like, how does the system validate invoices to ensure compliance with both local and international regulations? So, as you told that we handle the local tax compliance, so how does the validation for the local and other multi countries is done in compliance with?
Right. So since compliance is having experience in diverse countries and multiple locations across the globe, we will take care of both for local and international, the schema and data format validations. Like let's say, let it be PINT or BIS 3.0, or let it be any country specific use case validations. Everything will be taken care in this, including the tax registration numbers, incorrect invoice numbers, or misformatted field level validations. And also we'll take care of party and tax information validation and tax rule checks, everything, including reporting and clearance for continuous transaction control models like UAE. And when it comes to international, obviously it's not about handling the validations since it remains same across the globe. I mean, not same, I mean, not very much similar, but mostly similar across the globe. It's all about transmission. Like supplier, when it comes to submitting or transmitting the invoice from one country to another, that's a big challenge. Like how we could do it, since it's again they have to go for one-to-one transmission. Whereas suppliers like compliance, since we have Peppol experience and also Pint experience, we could use this Peppol participant IDs for technical lookups or Peppol lookups, and we can transmit the invoice using these endpoint IDs.
Okay, okay, great, Karthik, great. So I think we have only one last question. Like, if you have any other questions, you can just drop it in the chat or Q&A session. Or else, after this question, I think we can wrap up this call. So, like the last question is like, what solution and support does compliance provide to onboard clients, like in perspective of the single customer as well as for partners who need to onboard multi customers? Like, how does compliance support this? I think Mohit, you can take this up.
Yeah. So compliance accelerates this client onboarding journey by providing, as I showed you, the pre-built SDKs. There are 5-minute steps on our UI where a customer can onboard any or the partner can onboard any customer by providing them the company details, and they are onboarded on a Peppol network, and that in that particular 5 minutes you will get a Peppol ID and onboarding journey would be completed. So a dedicated onboarding team that will be guiding the customers through the environment setup, testing, and everything would be there. Apart from these, all the things would happen within the 5 to 10 minutes of journey as soon as the client or any partner has gathered the information of customers in company's detail which are required for onboarding onto a particular portal.
Okay, 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 Mohit. So great. So I think we are at the end of the session. So I'll just say one few more points before we end this session. So, thank you all for your time and attention today. So, I hope you found this session insightful and helpful as you navigate the complexities of UAE invoicing. And special thanks to Karthik and Mohit for walking us through the demo and the tax part. So if you have any further questions, you can just scan this QR code to book a in-person meeting or a specialized solution demo for your own organization or company. As well as don't hesitate to reach out to us through the mobile numbers provided or the emails. So we'll be happy to schedule a personalized session or demo with you to discuss more about the solutions which you provide or the partnerships which you can take forward. So thank you for joining, and I wish you all the very best in ensuring smooth and compliant e-invoicing in UAE. So have a great day, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you,
Thank
Karthik.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
everyone.